The education book market is the backbone of the publishing industry in the country. The publishing industry was worth an estimated 3.5 billion rand in revenue in 2019. Educational books contribute around 60% of the revenue in the industry thanks to the large school-going population. But is the dominance of multinationals in the local educational book publishing that's concerning? And the Department of Basic Education is the single biggest buyer of educational books. Former Wits University SRC President Mpendulo Mfeka blames the Department of Basic Education for the current situation. He says that government should use its power to transform the sector.
We can't have one publisher having a monopoly of publishing textbooks across South Africa for over 2 million learners who are writing matric or who are doing grade 10 or whatever grade they are at any stage in their lives, right? Government as a solution must take upon itself to create an entity which is going to be responsible for the publication and the verifying of knowledge and production and content for learners in high school.
Higher barriers to entry make it difficult for new publishers to enter the market. The tender requirements are often costly for emerging publishers.
The DBE has a process where it reviews from all of the textbook writers, from all of the publishers, which books they are going to authorize, and they only authorize, I think it's 8 textbooks per subject per grade. Now that makes it extremely risky for publishers, especially small publishers, to develop material, the costs of doing that. And then if they're not successful, it's very difficult for a small publisher.
The Publishers Association of South Africa, which represents most of local publishers, share the same sentiment.
To play a role in this industry, you must be able to lay off some capital to be able to sustain yourself. You will have, for instance, to have funds to be able to develop materials for a year or two for which you will not get a return until such time that, for instance, the education authorities call for a tender.
PASA says it's also concerned about the lack of transformation in the sector. The association is working on the transformation master plan for the industry. But others have argued that the plan is driven largely by fear, as the Department of Basic Education continues to investigate the state-sponsored publishing of textbooks. However, the Publishers Association says the state-owned publishing will not be sustainable.
What the industry provides is a sustainable model that can be utilized by the education authorities and any other sector of society to be able to ensure that the country's publishing industry continues to contribute to the educational and cultural growth.
Or only 20% of the books available to us are actually local.
Anelile Gibikleko is a self-published author. Gibikleko has tried to enter the education publishing market with no luck.
And it's difficult to get into the curriculum in South Africa. One has pursued that, one has tried, one has sought information or asked or knocked on the doors. It's just really, really impossible. You don't know how to get there.
The British multinational publisher Pearson Group is one of the biggest players in the country's educational publishing industry. The company enjoys a 35% market share in the educational and text publishing market. Other big players are Macmillan and Oxford University Press, each having a market share of 13%. The Pearson Group in Africa says its foreign shareholding has no bearing on the content that it creates for the local market.
All our employees, all the subject matter experts that we use are local. So we work with local South Africans to create local content. We do not import the content from any country and bring it to South Africa. So if you look at all our author panels, all the subject matter experts, reviewers, or freelancers, and everyone, they are all South Africans and South African based.
The other challenge is the lack of black authors for the educational books.
In 2019, we ran a author training workshop, and this was specifically targeted at our Black authors. And the aim of that training was to make sure that we align the existing authors to the digital trends, because it's one thing writing content for print, but what about digital? So we ran instructional design training for authors over 5 days, and then we gave them opportunities to go through a training for 6 months that was online with the different subject matter experts. So this was specifically targeted at our Black authors in the pool of authors that we have.
The Department of Basic Education was not available for comment. Tsepo Mungwai, SABC News, Johannesburg.